this is where they've invested their money. They've got to earn a return on this. It's very hard for them to change how they generate power when they have got, billions of dollars sitting on the ground that they've got to recover costs for. However, that is very incompatible with trying to change the emissions levels. Limited renewable resource mix. Excel is working towards achieving our state RPS standard, renewable portfolio standard. However, they only have to get up to 24%. And that's, based on what they have invested in other generations, that's probably as much as they'll do. We know today that you can do a lot more. And we've seen it. I mean, y'all have probably seen it where you are. PUC regulation, I've already talked about that, how that kind of puts the investor-owned utility in a box and limits its flexibility and ability to address individual community concerns. And the business model, I just mentioned that. So, where we are now, what our objectives are, and our work plan, what we are trying to do is design a roadmap for the utility of the future. It could be a municipal utility, it could be Excel, if Excel chose to make some changes. They could very well take what we've modeled and make it something for them. We have designed, or we've defined the potential service area map where we would serve, which some of it includes outside the city limits, and I'll just tell you, that's a huge controversy today because those folks did not vote on the referendum to move forward with exploring this. We have developed options for moving forward, and I'll talk about what options are in a minute. We've worked very hard to gain community support and understanding for what we're doing. I would say that I don't know that everybody supports it, but we have had lots of community engagement and feedback. And that to me is really important. The more knowledgeable the public is, the better the decision making will be. We've worked very hard to ensure the integrity of the process. We've been very conservative in our financial analysis, especially with respect to comparing ourselves to the existing utility. We want this to be as objective as possible, and we don't want to in any way sway it one way or the other. Our goal was to get the numbers and do the analysis and be objective and show that on its own merits, if it makes it, it makes it. And then we are also, part of the charter provision was, at the end of the day, before we could move forward with the utility, a third party, independent third party would come in and evaluate what we did to make sure that we did the right things. And once the clean bill of health was given, then the council could move forward. The other thing that, I don't know if this is unique to Boulder, but I have a sense it may be, we had over 50 members of the public participate in this process. And what that means is we formed working groups, and people volunteered their expertise in these working groups. And we had reliability working groups. We had over 250 years of experience in the utility industry on our working group. Volunteers, former executive from LA Water and Power. We had someone that's on the board of IEEE. I mean, it was amazing. Boulder has a lot of really smart people. We had CU professors. We had a guy from the World Bank participate on our financial team. We had professors, inventors, entrepreneurs. We had scientists. I mean, people with lots of expertise working on these groups, advising us and giving us input. So we had a lot of diversity, and these weren't all pro-muni people. These were people that had expertise and cared about what was going on. So a lot of them put in hours and hours and hours of time. And it's been an amazing process. And it's been good for us, and it's been a good education, I think, for some of the folks that had doubts. So it was a great, to me, it was a great way to involve the community and engage them. What do you mean by option? And real quickly, it's just, we had 5 options that we compared to an Excel-based case, an incumbent utility. And it involved different resource mixes, business structure, financial targets that they achieved. We looked at the assets that would be needed to serve, kind of what we also modeled what future investments we needed to make, because we know we have an aging infrastructure serving the city today. How could we enhance reliability? So we built in assumptions on that. And then other things that we needed to guide us to get to that utility future. So we had 5 different options that incorporated these different things. and we modeled them to see if they met that charter test. So at the end of the day, what we found is 4 of the options could exceed our Kyoto targets in year 1. That was the biggest surprise of all of this. When we went out and we modeled actual resources that we knew we could get from specific locations, we built in a lot of conservatism. What we could accomplish by changing the resource mix was unbelievable. And the 5th one could do it in year 5 only because we had an option that was a phase out where we spent the first 5 years staying with Excel with respect to power purchases. Once we quit purchasing from Excel and went to the market, it changed everything. Under some of the options, not all of them, we could offer equal or lower rates. The ones where we were the most aggressive in reducing emissions, there were 2 of those options. They were too high today. And it's probably because solar prices are still high and gas prices are low. Any of those dynamics start to change and those options may become viable, but we couldn't maintain rate parity under 2 of them. We know we can exceed reliability for 2 reasons. One, if you acquire the system as is and don't significantly restructure it. And again, when you're acquiring a system, all you're doing is setting different interconnection points, which basically is a switch and a meter. And if we do this at substations, you don't change the configuration of the system. The other thing is we know we could enhance some of the maintenance practices and do some other things that actually could improve on what we have today. With the increase in renewables, we're able to increase renewables to over 54% of the portfolio and then reduce emissions by 50%. That's huge. I mean, that is just straight up, and it's not doing anything crazy, experimental at all. It's what we can do today. All the options met our debt service coverage target, and we think they all provided an opportunity for strong economic health. With respect to a lot of things, 1, good reliability, 2, providing some opportunities for new technologies and encouraging investment in energy technologies. So, next steps. Tomorrow is our big day. We do a presentation to council and ask them to decide whether to move forward with phase 2. The first phase was, again, to show that we met the metrics of the charter that said, yeah, we can do this. Phase 2 will be showing where's the value add, what's the qualitative value of public utilities. So we'll learn tomorrow. If they say to move forward, then we'll, like I said, we'll answer the should we do this question. We'll have the independent third-party evaluation. We have significant legal steps. The process of acquiring the assets will probably be through condemnation. So that will be a significant process. In addition, there will be issues with FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, regarding stranded costs. And stranded costs are investments that Excel has made on behalf of the city in generation. So really, the only thing you're liable for outside the value of the assets is making sure that Excel doesn't lose any revenue or is not able to, you need to make sure Excel is not able to, is prevented from recovering the costs they made in generation on your behalf. So if for some reason they could take, say the city left the system and there was 240 megawatts of generation available, if they were able to sell it on the market, stranded costs would not be as significant. If they were not able to sell that on the market, then the city would be liable for that. And we're going to begin our discussion with rating agencies and looking at financing. We are, a big issue in our community is when you form this utility, who's going to have, if it's local control, what does that mean? Who's going to have a say-so? So we're forming a working group of community members, and this is a big issue for the business community, to look at what kind of governance structure we should have in place and how that should work. So this will be an ongoing process. We've got some additional, more detailed analysis, and then lastly, we are continuing to work with Excel on discussions of what a partnership might look like. How can we achieve all of these goals and get to where we want to be in a partnership, not a franchise agreement, but in a partnership? So that's ongoing too. We've got phase 3, which will, once we get through the condemnation or the acquisition, We will be the financing, we've got some regulatory stuff again at the FERC to deal with, and just a series of other steps. And lastly, phase 4 is where we would actually form the utility and all the processes involved with that. Now, these are very simple, there's a lot more to it, but I wanted to hit the high points for y'all. And that's it.